frustrated. Yep, it's working.
It's working. It's weak, but it's working.
Oh, it's better.
It's better. Yay! Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. And gals.
And gals. And whoever else is watching, human or otherwise.
And we see the cat on
They
the
have a
filing
kitty.
cabinet in the background.
Yes. Even animals enjoy the show.
Mm-hmm. Our devil kitten.
Devil kitten.
All right. You waited a week for this. Here it is. We're going to talk about the caregiver amount.
The caregiver amount.
Mm-hmm. This is one of those tax credits that not many people are aware of unless somebody told them something about it. It's similar to the disability tax credit, I find. It's one of those things that until people start screaming and yelling about it, it's a little known amount that you can use.
So we're going to give you the inside scoop.
Now, this is not a windfall credit. Like, we're talking about 3 or 4, maybe 5, as much as $500 refund for you. But it's worth it. It's your $500, right? Take it.
I would take $500 all day long.
Take it. Why not? I mean, all it is one line number, and you don't even have to do anything. You just have to give me the parental, or actually the care person you are giving care to's information.
That's
it. So here's the deal. I'm going to read you the official, and then I'm going to tell you how to figure out whether you actually qualify for the caregiver amount or not. Now, if you do not have any dependents at home, like your parents don't live with you, or you don't have any infirm 18-year-old adults living with you, watch anyways, because you might know somebody who qualifies for this and doesn't even have an idea that they do. Right?
I actually got an email a couple of nights ago from somebody. Both of their parents live with them, and they had absolutely no idea about this. So, yeah, there's people out there that don't know, and, you know, you're losing money. So, we're going to get you some money.
Exactly. So, here's the deal. This is what the CRA says. Bear with me. The family caregiver amount is a non-refundable tax credit created by the federal government, to help Canadians who take care of family members. It allows caregivers to claim an additional amount for dependents who have an impairment or physical or mental function. Here's the deal. Even though it says all that, you may qualify if you don't. We'll get there in a second, okay? Each dependent must have met all of the following criteria, okay? You have to be 18 years or older, the dependent. The dependent must have a net income. Last year's limit was $20,343, so they set a cap. So the dependent's net income must have been below $20,343 in 2015. I don't know that number yet for 2016, but I'll let you know.
It'll
it's going to be close.
Be similar,
yeah really close.
They
like
won't,
a couple $100 at the
yeah,
most.
They're not going to make a huge adjustment there.
Yep. And he or she was dependent on you due to an impairment in physical or mental functions, or if he or she is your spouse or common law partner's parent or grandparent and born in 1950 or earlier. Okay?
So if they're old, they qualify.
So here's the deal. I created a little sheet to kind of help you.
She's genius and made a little cheat sheet for us.
I made a cheat sheet. I figured if we can go through this with you, you'll understand whether you qualify or not, or whether the person that you know qualifies.
She made it very, very, very simple. Even I understand it, so it's good.
Give yourself some credit.
It passed the Tracy test. I can read it clearly.
We're not going to discuss who I actually tested it on, but I said I think it's idiot proof. So
it's good.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Good.
So I'm just going to flip the camera for a second because I'm going to show you my monitor so you can kind of follow along, okay? It's really not that difficult. What have I got? 6 questions on there, and a couple of them you're going to go, yeah, no, right? So it's not hard. So here's how you decide if you qualify. We'll flip this around. Okay. So, number 1, at any time of the year, did you, either alone or with another person, maintain a dwelling where you and one or more of your dependents lived? So, basically what that means is, did you live in a house? Yes. Okay. If you lived in a house and you and your dependents lived there, then you get to go on to the next question. If the answer is no, I don't know where you're living, but you don't qualify. So just move along, okay?
You have to have an address.
Yeah, there must be an address, and the dependent had to have lived with you, okay? Number 2. Is each of your dependents one of the following people? So what this means is each of the dependents that you're trying to claim this amount for, okay? So they have to be either you or your spouse or common law partner's child or grandchild. So I'm going to stop saying spouse or common law partner. We'll just say spouse, okay? You guys, for the understanding of this caregiver amount, when I say spouse, what I mean is your husband, wife, partner, common law partner, whoever you call your other half, right? As long as the government thinks you are either married or common law, then that's what we're going to call a spouse, okay? So is each of your dependents either your spouse, your spouse's child or grandchild, or you or your spouse's partner, you or your spouse's brother, sister, niece, nephew, aunt, uncle, parent, or grandparent, and resided in Canada. So let's cut to the chase. If your dependent is a direct relative of yours and they live with you and they're Canadian, yes, go to number 3. If not, you can't claim it. Okay? Number 3, we're going to scroll a little bit. Number 3, was the person only visiting you? Okay, so were they visiting or did they live with you? If they were visiting, no, you don't qualify, right? If they were not only visiting, right, your answer is no, then you get to go to number 4. Okay? Number 4, does your dependent meet all of the following conditions? Now, they have to meet all, okay? They have to be 18 years or older. They have to have had a net income of less than $20,343 in 2015. And they have to be dependent, they have to either be dependent on you because of an impairment or physical mental function, or they have to be you or your spouse's parent or grandparent and born in 1950 or earlier. So even if your mom lives with you and she is not impaired mentally or physically, if she was born in 1950 and her money's under $20,343 in 2015, then she counts, okay? So, if your dependent meets all of those conditions, yes, we're going to go to the next question. If they don't, let's clarify how they don't, because I want to make sure that you guys are aware you're not discounting a parent or a child or an uncle just because they're not impaired or physically or mentally not functioning, okay? So that is not part of the condition if it's your mom, your dad, or your grandparent, and they're born in 1950. Okay? Number 5, do you have to pay child support for the dependent? Easy. We're only talking about 18 years here, right? So if you have an 18-year-old child that lives with you that you pay child support for, then you're not going to qualify for this amount, okay? If you don't pay child support for this dependent, then you're going to go to the next question. Yay. Last one. Does anyone other than you claim the amount for eligible dependent? Now, this is a weird scenario, but say you want to claim the caregiver amount for your 18-year-old son, but your ex-wife actually has the child living there with them, or the adult child living there with them, and they're claiming the eligible dependent amount, you're not going to qualify. So for 90% of people, this is not going to matter, this question, but I threw it in there because it is a determining factor. So if anybody other than you is claiming the dependent, then you're not going to qualify, right? If nobody else is claiming them, then you're going to qualify. Easy as that, okay? So, and then I've just got a note down the bottom that the family caregiver amount is a separate tax credit available for infirm dependents. So it's only if you are infirm, if you're mentally or physically impaired. Okay? We'll flip back.
Hello again.
Clear as mud? So let's cut to the chase, okay? Here's the deal. If I have my mom or dad or my grandparent living with me, and even if they're not dependent on me by the definition in our minds of the word dependent, if my mom lived with me and she was born in 1950, okay, or earlier, then she qualifies. Simple as that.
Pretty simple.
Okay? So, in most circumstances, nobody's paying child support for my mom, right? If she was born in 1950.
I would hope not.
My mom's not that old, so, don't take But if my mom was born in 1950, then obviously, oops, pardon me for 1 second. If my mom was born in 1950 or earlier and she lived with me, she would qualify as the caregiver amount. So, here's the thing I want to tell you guys. Last year I ran into a couple of people whose parents were very proud and didn't want to be called dependents.
That could be a scenario too. I never thought of.
Yeah. So
sometimes parents don't want to say they're dependent on their child.
I'm not dependent on my kid. I got my own money coming in. 100% I agree. Here's the fact of the matter is the definition by the CRA standards only indicates that you're going to claim them as a dependent on your taxes. So it doesn't necessarily mean that your mom or dad or grandparent is dependent on you and can't function. It just means that when you fill out your taxes, in order to claim certain credits, they have to be in certain schedules. So we have to figure out the schedule, we have to complete the schedule that lists all of those people's information. For simplicity, the CRA puts it all on the dependent page. Okay? So even though in all the definitions it refers to them as dependent, it doesn't mean they're dependent on you. And if you're watching and you're, 1950 and older and you live with your daughter or your son or your grandchild, let them know they can claim you. Share it with them. It's going to save them money on their income taxes, and it doesn't mean you're dependent on them. It just means that you're giving them a little Christmas bonus, right?
So now a lot of people might be questioning too. Say both their mom and their dad both live with them. Can they claim both of them?
So this credit is eligible for everyone who qualifies. So if I had my mom and dad, let's say my mom, my dad both qualified for this, okay? Say my son was infirm and he was mentally impaired and he lived with me. And say Tommy's mom and Tommy's dad, Tommy's dad's passed away, that's a bad example, but let's pretend,
still,
okay?
we'll pretend.
Let's say that both of my parents and his parents and my son all lived with us. I'm claiming it 5 times.
Wow. So everybody.
5 times. Everybody. It doesn't matter how many people. You get to claim the credit per dependent. Okay? By definition of the word dependent, right? So, for every single parent you have living in the house or grandparent that you have living in the house, if they qualify under that 20,000 and change, you're gonna be able to credit it.
That's great. And I think a lot of people, I think it's going to help a lot of people.
I think it is. I think there's a lot of people that, maybe you live in the same house, and to qualify, just because you don't own the home doesn't mean you can't make the credit. Okay?
So if the parent owns the home and you live there,
yep,
and you're looking after them, yeah.
Ta-da.
Ta-da-da-da.
Ta-da. You're living in the same house. You're there to support them. They do, whether they like it or not, depend on you to a certain degree. Especially as they get older. I hope my kids will use the caregiver amount when I get older. They won't.
Good luck.
They won't. I'll be in a home and they'll be using that medical deduction. But no. So if you guys have any questions about the caregiver amount, or if you're unsure, I am going to stick a download link somewhere. I'm going to figure out how to do it to give you guys that document that I just went over. So if you want to print off a copy and yes, no, go through it.
Print it out, give it to your friends.
Yeah, definitely. It'll help you figure out whether you qualify or not.
Yeah.
Just remember that just because your parent or your grandparent is not infirm or mentally incapacitated does not mean you cannot use this claim. That was a double negative. You can use the claim. You can use the claim even if they are not.
Yeah.
Right?
There's still options out there.
As long as they're born in 1950 or earlier, and they're not making that $20,343 a year, you're covered. You're good. And obviously, if nobody's paying child support for them, but I can't imagine a scenario where you're going to pay child support for an adult parent, but, CRA likes to cover their bases.
I'm sure it must have happened somewhere along the lines for them to come up with that, but I've never experienced it.
Somebody tried to claim that, it. Another thing to keep in mind is if you're husband and wife, or common law, and you and your spouse are trying to figure out who to claim what, leave it to us.
We'll figure it out for you.
We'll figure out who needs to claim them.
Where they need to go.
Yeah, if you got 19 people living in your house and you have to figure out who wants to claim who, let us work it out. We'll do the scenarios and play back and forth and figure out who's best to claim who.
Candy's a good problem solver. She can flip things around to see how it works.
I like to mess with it a little bit, see where the best end result is.
Get you back the most money.
Yeah. So another the cat's coming to say hi. Say hi, Cows.
Cows is our office kitty.
She's a brat.
She likes the love from afar.
Yes.
Do not pick her up or she will claw your eyes out.
She doesn't love the love. She just likes it when...
She tolerates it when you're at arm distance.
So I was thinking something and now I lost track of it. So if you...
Kitty distraction.
Yeah, she did too. If you, you and your spouse live in the same house, then you can decide who's going to claim who. Okay? You don't both put in the claim. So if my mom lived with me, me and my husband would decide, my husband and I would decide who put in the claim. It's not both of us. Just one of us puts in the claim.
We'll figure it out.
And yeah, leave that up to us. We'll figure out where it's more advantageous to put. And this is one of those great claims that you can do that with, right? You can decide who's going to claim it and who it better benefits in the end result. And yeah.
Very cool.
Do you have any questions about caregiver amount? Ask us. Okay.
It's huge when you think about it.
It is huge.
And especially if, say that
there's so many people who aren't using it.
Well, say that person that you're going to use for the caregiver amount qualifies for the disability tax credit as well.
Ah!
Huge. Because they can transfer those credits to you as well. So, yeah, it's huge.
So that's something to keep in mind too, guys. Maybe your mom or dad or grandparent lives with you, and maybe they just haven't or don't know about the disability tax credit, and maybe they qualify for it. Mm-hmm. If they qualify for it, even if they, some people, I know I've had people sit in my office and say, well, she doesn't make enough money, we didn't bother to fill it out. Ah!
Don't do that! Just fill it out.
Fill it out.
It's easy. Just
get the credit. Give it to you.
We'll print it off. Take it to the doctor. Fill it out.
Yep.
We'll transfer the credits to you.
Transfer the credit over to yourself. If they're your dependent and they live in the same house as you, and you are claiming them as a dependent on your income taxes, whether they are dependent on you or not, if you are claiming them on your taxes, you can transfer credits back and forth as though they were your spouse. Yep. So mom lives with me. Mom is completely incapacitated and gets the disability tax credit, but she doesn't need it because she makes under 20 grand, or say she makes even 15 grand. I'm going to, by the time she has her age amount and her pension amount and her basic exemption, she doesn't make enough money to pay any income tax. I'm taking the caregiver amount and I'm taking the disability tax credit from her. Huge. Right? So if your parent or grandparent lives with you and they don't currently claim the disability tax credit, check it out. See if they do qualify, because if they qualify, it could be saving you up to around $1,500 to $2,000 a year. A year. And it's a credit just like any other. If you missed it on a previous return, we can go back and adjust it.
Fix it.
Yep. It's brilliant.
So I think that's good.
That's the caregiver amount.
Yeah.
Nice and easy.
And once you explain it, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, a lot of people get stuck on the number 4. I think it's number 4. A lot of people get stuck on that qualification of,
if they qualify or not.
if it's in it, because it reads like they have to have a physical impairment, but they don't.
If you're not sure if they qualify or not, just come talk to us, and we can kind of give you the yes or no.
100%. 100%. We'll be, we'll just
explain to us your little situation, and we'll let you know.
And we'll say no, or we'll say yes, claim it, go back and fix previous years.
Yes, because like I said, the person that contacted me, apparently their parents have been living with them for a number of years. So we can go back and fix all that for them.
Go back and adjust it all. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know you guys think, I don't want to adjust previous returns. I'm going to red flag in the CRA.
It's pretty easy, though.
People are worried that it's going to get them audited. Here's the fact of the matter. The CRA is not going to audit you because you're going to make a change to a previous tax year. The CRA is going to audit you because you're lying to them and they know it. Mm-hmm. So if you have a legitimate claim that you're supposed to be claiming and you aren't, they're not going to tell you.
No.
You got to take it upon yourself to find it, fix it, and claim it. And get your money back. You pay too much tax. We pay way too much tax in this province in this country.
For the amount of money that we make, we pay way too much tax.
Way too much. So don't pay more than your share, okay?
So, these tax credits are out there to help you guys, and we're here to let you guys know about it. Education, people.
Yep. Definitely.
So.
And again, the caregiver amount isn't a big windfall. You're not looking at, it's not like the disability tax
at
credit.
Thousands of dollars.
No, couple $100, but it's your couple hundred.
Helps. Every little bit helps, though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It might be the difference between you getting a refund and paying in. So
it's true. It's definitely true.
It's huge.
I don't think we had any other questions. We kind of wanted to really kind of explain this to you guys so that you understood it.
This is an important one, I think.
It is. I'm not going to claim, that's the caregiver amount, right? I'm not going to talk too much about the family caregiver amount because it's an additional claim that kicks in when you have an infirm child, an 18-year-old or older direct descendant of yourself living in the house. And when you come talk to us about the caregiver amount, we'll let you know for sure if you qualify for the other one. Most of the time with my clients, I'll end up claiming that and they don't even know I'm claiming it for them because if I know they qualify, I just add it automatically, right? So, and I know if you've got somebody living with you that's 18 plus and, one of your children and you're taking care of them, we learn that through conversations, so it's all good. But if you have any questions about the caregiver amount or about the family caregiver amount, I know the names of them are stupid. I don't know
They're so similar.
I don't know what the CRA was thinking. Let's confuse people so they don't know what to claim.
I think that's what they do, though. They're just like, how can we screw this up so people have no idea what it is, and then they won't claim it? Yeah. Because, I find there's a lot of fear around income tax sometimes and like the CRA and stuff. And people, I think that's a big reason why people let it go so long. Yep. Is they're just scared of it. So we're here to take the fear out. Yep. And make it idiot proof.
I had a lady come and see me on Wednesday night in tears because she was so embarrassed about the fact that she hadn't filed her taxes in 8 years. Her mom passed away 8 years ago, and she had a really bad year, and it was emotionally difficult, as it is on all of us when we lose a parent, and it just went downhill from there, and once she didn't get that year filed, it started to spiral down, as it does, right? It becomes a big, large monster, and how do you deal with it once you get into the second and the third? I find a lot of people, once you get to 3 years, you might as well wait till 10, because they get so stressed out about it, right? And you don't realize the weight that is on somebody.
Well, I think it's always playing in the back of their mind, right?
Yeah. It's always there. It's always every time the phone rings,
at you, and you're waiting for the CRA to call, you're waiting to get mail, and it's just, it would be it'd be really stressful. Yeah,
she was in tears. She was pretty upset. And I felt so bad for her because from this side of the desk, I know how easy it is to fix it all and make it all go away, and I felt so bad that she waited and waited, and it took her almost 2 months to come into my office, to finally come in. She wanted to come in at night when there was nobody else around. We arranged to make sure there was no one else home in my house at the time. She was so terrified. And when she left, she gave me a hug, and I got all emotional about it, but when she left, she was still crying, but it was a different kind of cry. She was so
sigh of relief.
Yeah, really. She just was like, I don't have to think about this anymore. And so then when I called her the next night to let her know, or 2 nights later, no, actually, I think it was 3 nights later, when I called her on the weekend to let her know that it was all done, and I let her know the result, and happily, she's getting a boatload of money back because she was due refunds for actually every one of the years, plus a little GST here and there. So she was getting a boatload of money back. And it's funny because she said to me, you know what? I just want to give it all to you. And I'm like, no, that's not happening. But she just felt such a sense of relief that it was priceless. And I could hear that in her voice. She was just so happy to be done with it. And it's cool. It made me happy that she was happy. But at the same time, I felt so bad because for 8 years she carried that weight on her, right? Yeah. And it's just such a sin. It really is.
It's just it kind of weighs you down. And even when people bring their stuff in, you see them put it on the desk and they're just kind of like, oh, they can kind of walk lighter, their shoulders are up. You can literally see the physical difference in somebody.
If you're behind in your taxes, here's what's going to happen. Reach out to us and we'll set up a time and date. If you want to come in the middle of the night when nobody's around my house, that's fine. I'll arrange that. If you want to just pop in during the day one day, that's fine too. Whatever works for you, just come in. Literally, you're going to sit down, you're going to sign a piece of paper that tells me that I'm allowed to, gives me legal right to go in and pull any T4 slips that we're missing. You're going to drop all your stuff on your desk, on my desk, and you're going to walk away.
Walk away.
And I'm going to tell you when it's all done, and we'll sit down and go over the tax years, sign off anything you need to. I file it all for you, and then you sit back and wait for the notice of assessments and hopefully refunds.
That's it. And that's another thing too, you know, if say it's 10 years, a lot of people lose their forms and stuff. We can pull them off the CRA for you.
Yep.
T4s and everything else, EI, whatever. We can pull them all down for you. So that's not a worry.
Yeah,
so don't stress out trying to get all your papers, you know.
Yeah.
If you have your receipts for anything medical and stuff, that's great. But if you don't have your T4s and stuff, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Take a deep breath. It'll be okay. Mm-hmm. Just give us a call or Facebook us or email us or whatever works. And
you're
going
to be at the flea market soon, too.
It's coming up really soon.
Really soon.
Yeah, really soon. There's a flea
market
market
on the Sydney side, if they don't have a chance to pop over this way.
I'm trying to think of the name of the Vulcan Avenue.
Vulcan Avenue, where the old Swartz building is.
Yeah, they've moved over there. They used to be at Target, and then they were over at the Bicentennial for a while, trying to find a home. And it looks like they've found a home for the winter on Vulcan Avenue at the old Swartz building. So I will be in there starting sometime in January. I'll remind you guys then, offering drop-off service. Obviously we won't be doing any taxes then, but you can, you know, I'll be there just to kind of let you guys know I'm around. So it's easier than coming up here to Sydney Mines if you live in Sydney or Glace Bay. And starting when I get back, February 10th or 11th, I think the Monday is the 13th, I think, actually. E-file will open and then we can start to file your taxes for you.
Getting busy. Start getting down to
so don't rush. It's all right. You still got a little bit of time. But I know Christmas is coming and you guys are going to be all wrapped up and stuff. So we'll think about that more in January.
Everybody's Black Friday shopping today. So I'm assuming that's probably why we don't have very many viewers at the moment. Everybody's out shopping.
Don't Black Friday shop.
I laughed at the thing you had on Facebook today.
Yesterday, all the Americans gave thanks for everything that they have. And today they're standing in line to buy more.
Yep. To give thanks next year.
Yeah, it's crazy. I couldn't believe how many deaths there were related to Black Friday shopping.
Oh my god, my sister went one year, her and her friend, and she said it was the most insane thing she's ever experienced.
It's gross.
It was crazy. Like, people were just pushing and shoving and grabbing, and never again. Never again.
Not me, man.
She's in the States right now, but she's not Black Friday shopping.
Yeah,
I don't know. They might be going to Disneyland today. They're in California. So.
I think my idea of Black Friday shopping is maybe they have cool sales on at Vistaprint and Old Navy. That's
well, I put in a Vistaprint order. I put in an Old Navy order. I put in a Walmart order. I like Black Friday shopping online.
Yeah, where there's no
where I can do it in my pajamas.
And nobody dies.
Nobody dies.
Nobody dies when you shop online.
Cyber Monday is coming up on Monday, too.
Yeah. We'll see what that brings.
We'll see what that brings.
All right, guys. We're going to cut her off. And if you have any questions about the caregiver amount or the family caregiver amount or how you qualify for them, or if you're behind in your taxes and you want to get cleaned up and get it off your shoulders,
we're here.
Reach out to us. All right?
And you can find us on YouTube. Search The Tax Ladies.
All
of our little videos are there. So if you want to get caught up, you missed any episodes, you can find us there.
Share it with everybody.
Share.
Tell everybody. Yes. We only had like 4 subscribers, which really surprises me.
We need some subscribers on our YouTube channel. Subscribe. And then you'll
join us.
You won't miss anything, right?
Yeah. We talk about cool stuff sometimes.
And take a stop by our Facebook page and give us a like too. That would be great. We'd really appreciate it.
That's cool.
Share us around.
All right. Callie?
Goodbye from the office.
Callie says bye. Bye, office cat. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
See ya.